Greetings, I'm Rob Chappers and welcome to Ask Chappers, the podcast with incredible musicians from our band Clockwork Wolf and Company. And today we're going to be asked questions by the fantastic, very talented Alyssa Offerman, who will be asking us all sorts of random things about aliens, UFOs, Yetis, and maybe some music questions too. Yes, I am a giant. Today for some reason, because I'm sat on the edge of the couch. I'm a big guy anyway, but I'm not like this, but for some reason visually it looks like I am Gandalf and the Hobbits, but I'm kind of enjoying that. We're going to pass the mics around because I've only got two SM7Bs, so what's the first question?
The first question is from Tyrannosaurus Rex, and the question is, what's the best thing that didn't end up on the last recording of the last EP?
The best thing that didn't end up on the recording? Musically? I mean, we did a whole load of takes of percussion with my son's dinosaur toy. Do you remember? Really? Do you remember? No. He's got this wind-up crocodile called Colin the Crocodile, and you stretch it and it goes... And
where in the song was that going to go? Where in the song was that going to go?
It's in
Colin the Crocodile.
It's in the sunshine, towards the some of the ambient verse sections. If you hear this thing that sounds a bit like an unusual snare flam, it's Colin the Crocodile.
Are you going to be able to edit that into the video where that part?
It's actually already on the making of the album video that's on my YouTube channel. So. Yeah, they could already see it.
Colin.
I seem to remember using the whole box of percussion.
You do, yeah. So you better describe that to the camera.
I can't remember exactly what happened, but we definitely used the whole box of percussion.
Well, they basically, our producer Mark said,
dropped it, didn't we?
We should get you to do some percussion. He's like, yeah, all right. Which one? Like big box of maracas and tambourines and triangles, and Mark was just like, what about the whole box? So Chris was like, I mean, all right. So there's this giant box of every kind of percussional thing ever, and he's like trying to make that rhythmical.
It was quite heavy as well.
Yeah, it was a miraculous effort, but it sounded good. It sounded like a chain gang, is what it sounded like.
Yeah, it did actually. Yeah, it was good.
Well, just actually off the back of that, the next question is from Growing Abril, and the question is, are there any uncommon or different instruments on the new album?
Yeah, there's Jack's scarf.
I feel like I need to address this. There's been some activity online about a scarf. Stop it.
Some activity online. Oh, man.
I suppose there's become a kind of a running theme, hasn't there, Zach? Re just a scarf, a Moroccan scarf.
I think people don't realize it gets cold in the studio.
It was a cold November day in the studio. I don't really see what's wrong with that.
It was definitely styled. You were styling it out.
Chris is saying, in case you can't hear, that I was styling it out, and that's probably 50% true. I admit it, but yeah, fine, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to trade scarf techniques with people if you'd like to kind of get in contact. So that's my peace offering.
Is this
for all the haters, scarf haters? Should
we do a little promo code Hermes, like all their scarves? You know, they have like 50 million different types of ways to style it. But like promo code Ask Chappers.
Oh yeah, from like, because all the fine, like an influence. This could be my kind of. Let's give me my pivot into the scarf
man.
Scarf world. Scarfman.
You're like Tom Everett Scott in that thing you do, but instead of cool sunglasses, it's cool scarves.
Yeah, fine, okay. Instead of taking off my sunglasses in
you
a kind of cool way, the scarf's going to come off
its way down to the audience.
Promiscuously.
We actually now have to get that into a music video at some point.
The scarf.
More than happy for that to be a thing.
So, are there any uncommon instruments on the new album?
Well, it's not been recorded yet, has it? No. So I mean, that's quite hard.
Well, I mean, are you planning on it?
Oh, fine. Well, okay, fine. Well, I mean, we have demoed 4 songs. I mean, it's very kind of exciting and early stage of the album process, which I suppose, you know, that is kind of something to get excited about. But that type of thing, exciting instruments, whole boxes of percussion, that tends to kind of come post the kind of chords. As a rule, just as an insight into, that's some professional songwriting right there. You're welcome.
So question 3 is from Victor Lops 25, and they would like to know how you prepare before getting into the studio.
I go for micro runs. So there's a lot of talk about exercising in fits and starts. You can do like 20 seconds of high intensity hit training. So I run from my work surface to the fridge really fast, get out some milk, some
Really?
eggs,
Wow.
make an omelette, and then I cry a lot and sort of, purge any demons that might be within my being.
You're being silly, aren't you?
I'm being silly. I'm sorry, Jack. Yeah, I'm being silly. Process of getting it together was really, I'd written a bunch of stuff, and there were old tunes that I hadn't finished up using from 20 years ago that I knew were sat there for a reason, and they'd never really realized their full potential. And it was time after the previous recording, which you probably have here somewhere, I don't know, to take that EP and make the album from the EP. And so I summoned the denizens of the rock Americana underworld, and we're working on the next 7 tracks to put together with the EP and bring out an album, which will be called.
Hold on to that.
Which will be called. But when we announce it, we have to get Zach to do his American movie
give me
voiceover.
5 more questions and he can do that.
Oh, okay.
Zach, how do you prepare getting into the studio?
I think I like to run some warm-ups and scales and stuff like that, just to kind of keep the muscles loose as far as like playing the instrument. But mentally, I think I like to listen to music that's evocative of what we're trying to do, but not similar.
So question number 3 is from Tybal1603, and the question is, will there be a tour on the horizon?
I mean, I don't know. We'd really like to. We want to do tour. Basically, I want to tour America with this because I think it's really American music. And we also want to do some Europe, predominantly just to watch Jack speak French all the time. And
he'll fit in with his scarf there.
the scarf thing will definitely work in continental Europe, yeah.
I'll wear the flat cap as well.
You have that.
We'll go well French.
And but the thing is, we are entirely DIY. We have no label, we have no distribution. It's just us and our friends that help. So at the moment, thinking about doing a tour, we would have to hire our own venues, put it on ourselves. If you're interested in coming and seeing us play live, please let us know where you're from, because that would really help us book a tour.
Cool. So question number 5 is from Lloyd_Meeks01, and the question is, what is the biggest thing that you learnt from the first EP?
Yeah, okay, fine. So I actually recorded 1 song on the EP, and Dave did the other 4. So in terms of what I learned, I probably got a lot to learn from learning his parts in the song, in those songs. He's probably quite a different bass player to me, and probably a lot more technical. So I had to try and get my chops up quite a lot for that. Rob tried some in this new album we're doing. Rob made me tap something. Yeah, I did. But I just thought, fuck, excuse my language, for God's sake. So yeah, I suppose it's technically quite challenging from that respect. Also, I think I did some harmonics in weird tuning. That was quite exciting. Yeah. But I mean, I suppose it is very guitar-led music, right? And you have to have, as someone in the rhythm section, you have to have quite a lot of humility to kind of be in that type of role. So that type of thing is quite, you learn lots of stuff from that type of stuff.
Zach, what did you learn?
Well, Rob, I'm glad you asked. I learned the songs because I didn't play on the first EP, but it was kind of a good mission statement in terms of like I knew what you wanted to do after hearing it. So it was actually after I heard the first EP, I learned that I wanted to be in the band. That's the truth. So if you haven't listened to it yet, you should go listen to it now. It's available on
Spotify,
the internet,
Apple,
the internet.
iTunes, everything. And it will be on everything also. So Just Lewis 44 has asked if there is a plan, and I guess this is directed at you, Rob, for a longer behind the scenes documentary for this project.
Yeah, sure. I mean, pretty much everything we do is documented in some fashion we like to document. I like to force Chris to try and be in front of a camera and feel like it's natural. It's his favourite thing to do, so we like to bring it out. We shot a lot of.
Need to respond to that.
I don't think a response is necessary, really. Yeah.
No, I think it's good. We shot a lot of stuff yesterday while we were rehearsing these writing these new parts, and it was really good because I think we were in it enough, in that kind of telepathic trance-like state that you get in a band, that we just weren't really aware of the cameras, just doing our thing. So I think in the first BTS Clockwork documentary, you'll see a lot of stuff that's pretty real. There's a lot of realness.
BTS behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes. Not the Korean boy band, although that would be really exciting.
That'd be a strange tour, but sure, it'd be great. Odd lineup.
I think it would also be good if we did like a longer format, like documentary. So the starting and then do like maybe a 3-part series. That would be quite cool.
Sure.
See where it goes.
Yeah, just Netflix,
Just Amazon.
We can like Shane Dawson, Jeffree Stars, like what's it, 20-part series.
Oh yeah.
Grover Christopher wants to know where you guys see yourselves as a band in 10 years.
I think right now we're still in the process of figuring each other out as musicians and songwriters. So hopefully by that time we'll all have a kind of idea of everybody's kind of artistic repertoire. And I know that Rob and I had talked about getting into more long form type music videos and sort of the band not just as a musical artistic experiment, but also a visual one. So kind of exploring that and getting comfortable in what this is as a group and as an artistic output.
You said that really well.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the thing, Clockwork Wolf and Company is, it's an Americana grunge, rock, blues thing, and in some areas it's really dark. Like there was a piece we wrote recently where the chord progression was like C and then F sharp and then D, or it was just like, it was a twisted dark thing. But then there are elements, we played major stuff. Like there's a song I wrote recently that was major, and I've never written a major thing really before. That surprised me. So I think it's very much lighter than I'm used to, and then some areas much darker. And so it's spread across a really broad spectrum of sound, and I want to express that visually too. A bit in the way Michael Jackson did with Thriller, with a little music video that starts off as a movie and then becomes. But I'm not suggesting we'd all be werewolves. That would be crazy, you know.
Question number 8 is from the Dead Red Lips band, and they want to know what we can expect influence-wise this time around.
A lot. I mean, I think between the four of us, we all have an appreciation for grunge music and more rootsy American music. So there's a lot of open tunings, a lot of like deep, almost Southern style rock and roll. But yeah, a lot of that, a lot of 90s and in a lot of ways early 70s type rock and roll.
It is quite heavy, isn't it? And low.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of a strange thing to say, but we are kind of tuning kind of my flat wounds to C sharp. That's a new experience for me. So yeah, it's good fun, and and fine. So doing this type of stuff is a great learning curve, right? And I think Chris would probably agree. I mean, I haven't done loads of this type of thing that Rob is doing currently. So yeah, great. I mean, we are just learning lots as well as being, it's like playing music, right?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say what a lot of the viewers or listeners won't know is that Chris, Jack is an amazing guitar player, right? Zach is an amazing guitar player, but Chris is also an amazing guitar player. You know, he is. He's really, really good.
Go on, get the guitar, Chris. Get
On
the guitar,
spot.
Chris. Go on, go get it.
But get it. But he's really into. Tell him what you're into.
I do like blues, actually. I play a lot of blues guitar at home just for fun, really. So I'm not getting the blues licks yet.
There's a special guitar there.
You know what we'll do, Jack? We're gonna catch Chris unawares at some point or some day. We'll have a little mini
If
video.
anyone's watching, I don't touch the guitar. But then if I think people
Tell them
aren't,
your Instagram, because then they can look at it on there, can't they?
there are a couple of videos actually. I
Chris
suppose.
Hardwick dot.
No, I think it's
Chris_Hardwick_music.
Chris
that's what it is.
underscore
'Cause you asked me
Hardwick
that yesterday.
underscore music.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
So that's how they're fun.
But what I was going to say is the great benefit of having a drummer that plays guitar and blues guitar to a high standard is that he knows the genre and understands the language of that kind of music. So he suggests writing or arrangement concepts that benefit the music rather than just being a cool drum bit to do. So that's a really cool way of working. And because we all play guitar and in that style to an extent, the writing is quick. You were talking about the writing last night, weren't you?
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, it only took us about a day to kind of get an idea for where everyone's heads were at creatively, and Rob came in with a bunch of great ideas that he had, and the three of us were all kind of like, all right, cool, well, what if we try this?
It was crazy the amount of times that we would kind of come up with the same idea at the same time. Yeah. I always thought that was pretty astounding. Like a couple of times, Zach would play a fill at the end of the 4 bars, right? And Chris does very similar rhythmic thing, and then also quite a kind of theme that started to happen was chromatic movement in the bass. Yeah. And that was kind of it was interesting to me how quickly like people latched onto each other's writing styles and then took that into their own.
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of lends itself to certain ideas, doesn't it? Certain fills and licks and kind of rhythms that it kind of it's asking for it in a way.
Yeah.
It's asking for it.
That's That's it. You know it's coming.
Oh God.
That's escalated quickly, didn't it? Way too early for this.
Dirty man.
The next question is from Kobe Turner, and Zach, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have a name picked out for the new album?
We do have a name picked out for the new album.
You have to deliver it.
I caught that. Yeah. It's called The Church of the Wolf. You have to compress the shit out of that so that it sounds.
Maybe use a second mic as well.
Get it in stereo.
Yeah, Church of the Wolf. Yeah. What is the Church of the Wolf?
The Church of the Wolf is nature. It's the outdoors.
Wild.
It's the wild.
So just for your own knowledge, and because it's cute, Justin Timberlake's son is named Silas, and his last album was called Man of the Woods.
Man of the Woods, yeah.
Yeah, and it's that link. I thought it was cute. So the next question is from LYP82. And what was the first song that you guys tried for the first time you went and did your first rehearsal?
Church of the Wolf?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Church of the Wolf,
Yeah.
which is a sick-ass riff. That's the opening riff. The cool thing is that people will have heard that riff for about 10 years if they've been watching me on YouTube for a lot of the time, and it never really became a thing that was released. And so I'm really excited that we finally turned it into a thing that is gonna see the light of day or the dark of night.
So the next question is from Liam Orlando, and how did you guys meet?
Well, I met Rob at the NAMM show. Literally bumped into him. I was walking backwards and he was walking forwards, and we bumped into each other, and I was like, hey, you're Rob Chapman. I know you. You have the guitar company and you make all the videos. And we just started talking about guitar and talking about music, and we ended up becoming fast friends. And I basically was like, he had told me that the band was looking for a guitar player, and I forced my way into the band. I was like, we should do this together. You should let me join.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, Zach is a great player, but the interesting thing about writing with Zach is that I think I am good at writing the beginning of a tune. Like historically, Dorje, I write some of the opening riffs and verse parts, but then choruses are not my strong point, and bridges. I never really. I just go, here's a great riff, here's a great verse. It's got a vibe, or I get the whole song. Whereas Zach is uniquely talented at writing bridges and choruses, so it's just like we needed that bit and this bit, and then they linked.
It's a good match because then I find myself in a position where the idea is already there, and I can just kind of be like, oh well, this might work, and I throw stuff out until you all go, yeah.
Yeah, some of the bridges were written ridiculously quickly. Actually, it was kind of almost the first couple of chords that even kind of came
on the spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on the spot.
There was no writing; it just came out.
Yeah,
it just came out.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. It just came out.
You're getting the hang of this thing.
That was good, wasn't it?
You were so nervous to start.
I'm comfortable now.
So, Jack and Chris, how did you guys meet Rob? How did you guys...
I think we met through a producer, wasn't it? Mark Roberts. I got a phone call saying some dude needs a drummer. Turned up and recorded the EP on the day.
Well, let me just expand upon that.
You probably should, yeah.
So
quite
basically, so basically, Mark Roberts. If you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He's an amazing producer engineer from the Brighton area, and he'd worked on Dorje stuff, Tosca's stuff, loads of the local bands that are doing, Black Peaks, and I, through working with him on Dorje, had said, I really need a drummer and a bassist that aren't Ben and Dave. And then there wasn't a bassist at the time, so we used Dave anyway. And he went, well, I know a drummer. He's probably the best drummer in this area. Maybe one of the best in England. And they're like, right, well, he sounds all right. We'll have him.
And then he wasn't free? And then he got he wasn't free.
Well, no. What was cool was I said, right, well, I'll book, we had four tracks to record. And I said, well, I'll book the studio for like 3 days. And Mark went, why do you want 3 days? I said, well, a day to set up and get tones, and then a day for 2 tracks, a day for 2 tracks. And he went, no, it's Chris. He'll be in and out in a day. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I mean, the majority of everything was done in a day.
Came in and did percussion in the morning, didn't I? Because I was actually on tour with you the following day. So yeah, it was 4 tracks we did, wasn't it? We did 4 tracks in the day, and then I came back in and did the infamous box of percussion. What was the word?
Oh, the
plural of percussion.
A collective noun.
Collective noun. Sorry,
what was it?
something do.
Shabakadoo.
Came in and did a shavakadoo of percussion.
Yeah. Nice. Tell them the story about the drums on In the Sunshine.
That was the one take wonder, was it? Yeah. Well, it's not much of a story really. We just did it in one take.
So it is a bit of a story. I mean, basically, I'm not a drummer. I'm the only. Do you play drums?
Yeah.
Do you play drums?
Not really.
Well, but you can.
I can play a little.
Okay, so once again, I am the only member of every band I've ever been in that doesn't play drums. I can't even hold a beat, basically.
I'm sure you can.
I mean, I could if I tried, but I haven't. I don't.
That's such warped
I don't.
logic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. I don't think in drums. I think in melody. And when I'd written the tune, I had no concept of how the drums would go. So I said to Chris, I'll just play it. Well, you feel it out. And he's like, all right, yeah, go for it. So I'm playing, and he literally feels it out and plays the whole track. And then Mark goes, well, that's a take. And that was it. He hadn't even really learnt it.
No.
That was it. But I think unless you are... I don't know, a lot of people wouldn't understand how much experience and ability you need to be able to do that, and to have feel in it when you're doing that. Chris is a very good drummer.
There was a certain amount of luck involved as well, I'd say.
I think that's you being
He's a very humble
I
guy
think.
too.
Yeah, well, there was one song that you didn't actually, you forgot to send me. That was another tune. So there was another one we had to learn on the day.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one that was.
Was it old for new?
Yeah, maybe. I think that's. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, it's the only one in odd time as well.
Yeah, sorry about that.
The second to last question is from John_Stobbs. And what gear do you guys use to get your dirty sound or tone?
Dirty Zach.
Well, yesterday I was using it was a Chapman ML3 standard series, and it had the brass saddles on it. Right, it was a really kind of clean sound going in, and then we got the dirt out of the Victory RD1, which is Rob's signature amp, if I'm not mistaken, and it's we just turned it up real loud. Honestly, we didn't use any pedals in the front end or anything, but I find that with a guitar like that, with the kind of single coily sound, they do get a little bright. So I've just warmed it up and turned it up loud, and it got nice and dirty.
Well, ironically, you used my signature amp, and I used a V30 Mark II. So yeah, it's kind of funny, but it sounded great though, didn't it?
Yeah.
And for the first time in my entire life as a guitar player, and I have no idea really why this happened, but I've stopped using reverb. Like I just don't use it.
Do you feel naked without it?
I always felt like I couldn't play without reverb, but in the writing process leading up to us working together, it was tiring my ears, and I turned it off, and it was really in my face, and there's something about that I liked for this music. So I'm not using reverb at all on any of this, just room. That's good. We did the cool thing with the amps too. Tell them about that.
Yeah, well, we pointed them away from us because, as most of you may know, guitar amps can be awfully loud when you turn them up to that sweet spot of natural distortion. So we pointed them at the wall, so we were more hearing the reflection off of the wall and the reflection of the room rather than just the speaker blasting directly at us.
It sounded good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, got some really, really good live recordings. Got some really good live. We got some really good live recordings of the 4 new tracks: Icarus, White Rose. I haven't decided on names for 2 of the other tracks, but yeah, there are some track names for you.
What about you, Jack?
My tone, I'm using a Music Man Cutlass, which is a 4-string bass with some flat wounds on. It sounded really great, actually, especially when it's really loud. And as I said earlier on, I don't really tend to detune that much, but I was using a Sansamp pedal, and that it was sounding pretty fat.
Where'd you get your dirt from, Chris?
I use Minor Cymbals, and there's a drum company called Tiki. It's kind of handmade drums in Brighton. I use that as my snare. It was a Gretsch recorded the EP with, wasn't it? Yeah, Gretsch. That's about it.
What kind of sticks do you use?
Vic Firth.
Hardwick sticks.
Hardwick sticks. Yeah.
I keep telling him we should launch a stick brand because Hardwick's a great name for a drumstick brand.
Yeah, I'll get on that one day. Soon.
Sure, Rob can sort that out for you.
Yeah, maybe get me a distributor.
That rocks.
Yeah.
So the very last question is from Charlie Allen, guitarist, and the question is, what are your biggest inspirations for making the music behind Clockwork Wolf Company?
You go first.
Biggest inspirations, did you say? I'm going to say Soundgarden because that's been said a few times. I guess it's kind of Zeppelin-y. So John Bonham would be, because it's that big, open, loose sound, playing quite behind the beat a lot. So that's definitely a big influence for me for this stuff, I think. Yeah, and a lot of blues stuff as well, because it is quite blues orientated. But definitely, yeah, just trying to play loose and keep it kind of, it's blues rock, so nice open sound. When we recorded it, we used a 24-inch bass drum. If you remember, it's a large Gretsch bass drum. which is, I was kind of going for that Bonham sound. I think that's probably the biggest inspiration, drum-wise anyway.
I mean, really influenced by Greta Van Fleet, and so I just feel sorry for future generations that won't grow up with them. No, it's really Zeppelin-y, Soundgarden-y, Alice in Chains-y, old school Peter Green, Fleetwood Mac, and Jimi Hendrix and Union Station. I love a bit of Union Station.
Always got to get that Alison Krauss in
Oh
there.
yeah, anything with Alison Krauss on. And a Big Wreck, we share that as a common factor too, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, Big Wreck is definitely a big influence because it's something we bonded over almost immediately. And yeah, Big Wreck, Soundgarden, Led Zeppelin. For me, I think of kind of old kind of acoustic guitar music where tuning was sort of a function of songwriting. You know, where they if something didn't feel right, they would just change the tuning. Yeah. And there was a lot of that over the last couple days. Just keep changing a string until you find a position that's comfortable to sing in and comfortable to play in. So
there are some pretty funky tunings in this.
Yeah.
In the pretty funky tunings in a couple of songs, right, Rob? Yeah, was there like E and A is totally whack or something, and the other four are good to get standard?
It's like it's like a G open G slide tuning in a way. It keeps the top treble strings functional for lead playing, but the bottom strings you get a really cool set of flat sevens, or it's just a really.
So there is
great
logic
tune.
in the madness.
There's a lot of logic and a lot of madness at the same time. Yeah.
Well, and then also on that song, you were playing in that sort of half open G tuning, and I just went straight open G. Yeah. So we had different open strings ringing against each other, and it just makes it sound huge, which was cool.
Which is a total nightmare when you're trying to kind of pick up the new sections or whatever, because you've got two guitar players.
I feel bad for whoever the
fingering
tech is.
Totally different kind of frets, so that could be tough.
Jack?
Oh, influences. It's tough. I suppose I would probably maintain that most of my influences stay the same depending on whatever music I actually play, and I play a wide kind of variety of music. I'm a huge Beach Boys fan, huge Brian Wilson fan.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, huge. And
I saw the last alive member of the Beach Boys play at Kendall Calling.
Wow. Really?
He was playing keyboard.
Yeah, it's probably Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
Wilson, yeah. So I'm just a huge Brian Wilson fan, and with that comes melody in the bass, and that actually quite. I mean, we were talking about the bass moving, kind of either by a semitone or a tone, but moving up, gradually going on, and then try and find different inversions in the chords that are being played. So you could have a 4-bar pattern, right, which is repeating in chords, and then the bass is perhaps on an 8-bar pattern, and that would mean that second 4-bar pattern is slightly different. And that actually did come out quite a lot in quite a lot of these songs, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's quite an important one for me to cite.
Well, importantly, though, who is your biggest scarf influence?
That's a very important. No, that's a very important. Now we're down to business. Favorite scarf? I don't know. I suppose I'm going for the Parisian look. Sorry, it's a bit boring.
Humphrey Bogart.
I feel like I should put it on.
Casablanca.
Put it
Excuse
on.
me.
Put it
Should I put it
on.
on?
Yeah, put it on.
Yeah.
Come on, Jack, get your scarf on, buddy. Jack Osgood is now modelling the latest in the Osgoodery line of scarves from Paris.
Oh, look at the technique.
That's a
Look
beautiful.
at the approach.
Oh,
Rob.
he's
Look at the
really got that
technique.
going on.
Does your neck feel nice and warm and safe again?
I was a little bit chilly, so that has helped.
Do we have a quick fire question round now?
Okay, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't drink and drive.
Alright, Rob? What's your favourite movie ever?
Big Trouble in Little China. It's the ultimate action, horror, comedy, sci-fi, martial arts movie in the entire world, and the best advice I was ever given is never tell the person he can't do something while he's doing it.
Zach, describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words.
Annoying, and annoying.
Jack, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve, saying the word H. It's H, I'm afraid, with an A.
It is H. Chris, if you could be from any other decade or era, what would it be?
50s.
Why?
It's just cool. Everyone was just cool, weren't they? Seriously. Yeah, and then I'd be a teenager in the sort of late 60s, which would be ideal as well, because of the music scene, I think.
Rob, what's on your iPhone playlist right now?
Everything I've ever downloaded. I don't get.
No, like what are you listening to?
Oh, Devon Townsend, live stuff from Devon Townsend. We listened to in the car on the way back, and then ironically, Big Wreck, Alison Krauss, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Metallica. You know, like Kill 'Em All. That kind of thing.
A lot of Rolling Stones to me.
Rolling Stones, yeah. Marmite. I do like Marmite, yes. Yes.
Zach, if you weren't in the music industry, what would you be doing?
I would be a major league pitcher. I would pitch for the Boston Red Sox.
Red Sox.
Jack, if you could have any 3 people, dead or alive, over for dinner, who would they be?
And you have to eat them.
Okay, fine. But I suppose Brian Wilson would be there. Mandela? Is that a bit? Yeah, that's a bit cliche, isn't it? Fine. Okay, fine. And then, my mum can come. That would be good.
So gracious.
My mum can come.
She can come. Yeah.
Chris, if your house was on fire, what 2 things would you run back in to get?
My girlfriend, assuming she's in there, and my guitar, I think. Yeah. Drums
Rob.
are too heavy.
It'd take a couple sessions running in and out. Rob, name a book that you read that positively shaped you.
Lord of the Rings, Dante's Inferno. Yeah. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Zach, who would play you in the movie of your life?
Oh, there's no way to answer this without sounding like a jerk. Let me think. A young Johnny Depp. I have no idea.
Johnny Depp from Crybaby.
Someone who was annoying as a teenager. Let's say that.
Jack, if you had a spirit animal, what would it be?
A wolf.
Hey.
There's only one answer to that, isn't there?
Okay, Chris. So what is your favourite TV show?
Quick fire, Chris.
At the minute, Sopranos.
Okay. Rob, how many tattoos do you have?
Oh my god, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Quick fire, Rob.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I have 10. 10.
Zach, what is the best gift you've ever received?
Best gift I've ever received. When my uncle passed away, he left me his baseball glove. And that was a very moving and emotional gift. And he left me another one. And he was kind of a prankster. But he had his widow come to me and say, you know, your uncle wanted you to have this. It meant a lot to him. I didn't want to do it in front of everybody because I didn't want to make a big scene, but he wanted you to have this. And I opened it and it was a Hooters t-shirt. It's hard to top that.
And Jack, the very last question. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. Playing in time. That'd be quite good.
And that's it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye. Bye. Nice to see you. Thank you for subscribing to Ask Chappers, and you'll find new content here at least once a week, every single Monday. Take it easy, and goodbye.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash it. Explosion.